This kid almost died while rafting. The Boy Scouts were in for a weekend trip down the Salmon River, but it turned into one of their worst nightmares. They soon realized this wasn't any ordinary river. It all started when the local Boy Scout leader, Mr. Clayton, suggested a fun trip down the Salmon River. The idea was to go for a few days down the river, camp out, and enjoy nature. It would be an excellent bonding experience for the boys. And even though some parents were a little worried, they trusted Mr. Clayton's judgment. They arrived at the spot where they would begin their journey down the river. There were 8 boys and leaders, Mr. Clayton and Mr. Davis. All of them were well trained in what to do in case of emergencies. Still, no one expected what happened next. After everyone had gathered by the river, Mr. Clayton gave them a lecture about safety guidelines. He wanted to make sure that the boys knew what to do if they fell into the water or if there was an emergency. Once he was done, they divided the tasks among themselves. Next, they had to choose which raft to use. One of the leaders, Mr. Davis, wanted to use bigger rafts for more stability, but Mr. Clayton convinced him to use smaller ones. He said that smaller rafts were easier to maneuver, which could come in handy if they encountered strong currents. Mr. Davis reluctantly agreed, so they got into the smaller rafts. Before long, they were on their way down the river. The current was quite strong, so the boys had to paddle hard to keep their raft from spinning. But they were excited and no one complained. After all, it was just a nice summer day, and who doesn't love a nice day on the water? As the sun began its slow descent, they looked for a good spot to camp for the night. They found a beach with soft sand and decided to set up camp there. The boys helped each other carry their stuff onto the shore, then they started setting up camp. The older boys set up their tents while the younger ones struggled with theirs. Some of the boys went into town to look for firewood, while others stayed behind to guard the rafts. But trouble seemed to be lurking around every corner, because while they were setting up camp, they heard a loud crack. It sounded like it came from inside one of the rafts. One of the boys who went into town to look for wood came running back. He said that the crack was in his raft. The boys and leaders checked it out, and it was bad. The raft had split in half. Now they were short one raft, and they needed to find a solution fast. Mr. Clayton told the boys to stay put while he and Mr. Davis went to check out the damage. The 2 leaders looked at the damaged raft and talked in hushed tones. They needed to fix it, but they didn't have any tools with them. In the end, they decided to take the best parts from the damaged raft and try to patch up the rest. But it was getting dark and they still hadn't finished. Mr. Clayton told the boys they should go check on the campfire. When the fire is ready, we'll call you, so the boys got to work. They collected more wood and made the fire bigger. When Mr. Clayton and Mr. Davis were done with the raft, they joined the boys by the fire. They roasted marshmallows and hot dogs, then ate their dinner. But after they finished eating, they realized there was a problem. The rain had started. It wasn't just a light drizzle. The rain poured down in buckets. Mr. Clayton looked at the boys and said, "Looks like we're gonna have to wait out the storm here." The boys nodded, a little disappointed that their trip would be cut short by bad weather. They tried to make the best of the situation and played card games by the light of the campfire. But as the night wore on, the storm didn't let up. The wind picked up and the rain became relentless. Then the sky lit up with flashes of lightning. The boys huddled closer to the fire, trying to keep warm and dry. Just when they thought it couldn't get any worse, the river began to rise. The water level was rising fast, and soon it was too deep for the boys to wade in. The current was also getting stronger, and the river was becoming more dangerous. Mr. Clayton and Mr. Davis knew they had to act fast. They told the boys to get into the remaining raft. It was their only chance to escape the rising waters, but there was only room for 6 people in the raft. That meant 4 of the boys would have to stay behind. The leaders split the boys into 2 groups. The 2 youngest boys would stay with Mr. Davis in the raft, while the 4 older boys would stay with Mr. Clayton on the shore. Mr. Clayton made sure to tell them that they should stay put and not try to cross the river on foot. With that, Mr. Davis and the 2 youngest boys got into the raft and paddled away from the shore as fast as they could. As the river rose, the current grew stronger and the water temperature dropped. The boys hugged each other for warmth as they waited for help to arrive, but help was nowhere in sight. The river was rising fast and soon the water was lapping at the raft. Mr. Davis knew they wouldn't make it if the water kept rising. He looked at the 2 boys and knew he had to do something drastic. He untied the life buoys and handed one to each boy. "If you see anyone, throw this life buoy to them and make sure they open their mouth before they pull themselves out," he said. With that, he jumped into the water and the boys watched in horror as the current swept him away. They tried to throw the life buoys, but their arms were tired from paddling and they couldn't make it across the raging river. Just when they thought all hope was lost, they saw a helicopter hovering above them. A man leaned out and shouted, "Grab the life buoys, boys, and throw them to me." The boys did as they were told and the helicopter lifted them out of the water. The other group of boys had a harrowing time as well. The water was freezing cold and the current was strong. But they managed to hold on to each other and stay afloat. In the end, they were rescued by the same helicopter and reunited with their friends and leaders. All of them were shaken but unharmed. They had survived the Salmon River, but they knew they wouldn't forget this experience anytime soon. Back home, their parents were overjoyed to see them safe and sound. They hugged and kissed their children, thanking God that they were okay. This was a close call that could have ended tragically. But thanks to the quick thinking of the leaders and the bravery of the boys, they all made it out alive. As for Mr. Davis, he was hailed a hero for his selfless act of jumping into the river to save the 2 boys. He shrugged off the praise, saying he was just doing his job. From that day on, the boys' lives changed. They had faced death and come out the other side. They were closer than ever before and knew that no matter what they faced in life, they could overcome it as long as they had each other's support.